All right, let's get the attendance going. All right. This is Paulina. Here, Mark. Here. Angelica. Here. Cole. Here. Makylie. Shamor. Shai. Cecilia. Adrian. Here. Derek. Here. Joseph. Here. James. Here. Brandon. Here. Eugene. Here. Avante. Madison. Madison. Yeda. Here. Sophia. Here. Callie. Sophia. Abigail. Here. Abigail, I turned that in the yes, on the. So so just going to repeat the names of those of you who I did not hear from. About what time? In 3 minutes past. Paulina, are you here? Paulina, Makylie. Sharmor. Shai. Avante. Madison. Madison. Eight. Okay. All right, class, that we've got to cover today, and we will begin with the presentations that were not completed on last week. So I would like to know who's going to present today. The rest of you remaining Paul. Media first presenter. Okay, I remember you. Paul. Our second presenter. Okay, Joseph. Our third presenter, Adrian. Our fourth presenter, Cecilia. Our fifth presenter, has everybody gone? Because after this, you will not be able to go. James, have you presented?
Oh,
no. Okay, so fifth position. Brandon? Sixth?
possible.
Okay. Fifth is James. Brandon. All right. Okay, so there's after this is clear the last how what we have the rest of the presentations, following which I will be talking about. Remember we talked about your important speech interview, and we talked about the question answers, and that's how you're doing your presentation. The second component that I want to talk about, which is at the last 2 points, is your self-appraisal. Okay, once your interview is done, which you still have about a month to do, so as soon as possible, you get in touch with your interviewee and get the interview done. So after that, you need to give me a self-appraisal of how the interview went. So I'm going to discuss that with you. So I have that on slides. We're going to ask you a few questions. That's the last part of the assignment today. You're doing the first part of the assignment. Last part of the assignment is when you finish the interview and do a self-appraisal and tell me how your interview went. Okay. So that's something that we will talk about right after these presentations are over. We will talk about the self-appraisal of your informative interview. And right after that, we will first start talking about your digital interview. That's coming up. That's a big one. That's the last one, the big one. So there will be two. Sorry, I'm making you stand your voice in a few minutes. So there will be two components to that one. When we talk about the digital interview, and I will be talking about it. The first one will be a pre-recorded one. Okay, I have set up a few questions for you, and you will have to respond to those questions and pre-record yourself in a certain way. There's certain things that I want you to do. There's certain instructions that I want you to follow. All of that will happen. But then the first part of your digital interview will be a pre-recorded one, and I ask you questions. And you work on those questions and record your answers to those questions and present it. Video yourself, and then you present your recorded version to me. Yeah, that's the first one. And then the second part of your digital interview will be with me face to face, when I will be asking you questions about your, I'll ask you some interview questions. Hopefully by that time you will be prepped. The first pre-recorded session will give you enough practice to understand, how do you respond to some interview questions, how do you prepare, all of that. So that the first part will be a pre-recorded interview where you will be doing it completely by yourself, which most of the time these days, that's what the trend is when you're applying to this big organization, there's so many people applying for this position, and then you have, a selected slot, and then you have to respond to their questions which are preset for you, and you respond to those questions according to a certain time, and then it goes to whoever is screening you. So you want to do that for me, and then I have another component where you actually do it face-to-face, and I will do some questions, and you need to respond. So those are the two things that we will be working on in the last few weeks. This April 28th will be our last session. Actually, we will not even before that. Actually, after that we will get into the practice. So yes, today we talk about this, and then we will start our discussion of digital interview. The first part, digital interview, which is the pre-recorded session. So many things needs to be covered. Okay, so I'll set up with that. Can I borrow anybody's pen? I don't have a pencil or a pen. Something can Give me a pen or a pencil, please. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I will be at the back, sitting there. So speakers, just like last time, you guys have 5 minutes, so this will go on pretty fast, and you have lots to cover. So when you have got 2 minutes left, which means 40% of your speech is left, don't rush, but that means you still have 40% left. Then 1 minute, which is 20% of your speech is left. Speech except the presentation. Keep reminding myself. And then 30 seconds left of your presentation, then stop. Okay. Okay. Whenever you are ready, once. One second. Almost there. All right. Go.
There's some guidelines for my search. I wanted to find an employee with like 7 to 15 years in the company, so somewhere around that range. And then the different projects they've worked on, so different sports projects they've worked on. And then what they did before this job and like how they work together where they are, so like where they just get to the job or what happened. And then an employee that has worked their way up through the company, so someone that like kind of started the company and worked their way up. And then someone that has good communication skills and sincere relate to, that would just make the interview better. So my interviewee is Garth Berlin, and he's the senior director of marketing and advertising for Chicago White Sox. And he graduated from the University of Illinois. I found him by searching through the Chicago White Sox marketing employee base and also used LinkedIn. And I think he's the best candidate because he holds a high position for one of the companies and teams that like I would like to work for him over. And also he's in the same field as I was in. So some research in it is I use his LinkedIn profile to get insight on the position he holds as well as the university he went to. So he received a degree in sports management and graphic design. And some of the skills he had listed were creative direction, advertising, management, graphic design, and integrated marketing. And he works for Chicago White Sox, Major League Baseball team. And then just the company he works for is obviously White Sox, and they've been around since the 1990s. And this is kind of just like my pitch that I sent to him, and just talking to him about why I'm asking him and like what the interview's for. And some trust questions. So how do you like working for them? It's like a typical kind of question I would like to ask. And then how is COVID affecting the marketing plan? Because I know, especially in the sports area, COVID has really affected like all areas of sports. And then what are the goals of the organization like for this year? So like, are they trying to like obviously do better than last year, having the year they had? And then how is the organization doing after going through 2 short seasons? Because usually MLB seasons are 162, 68 games. They were like almost cut in half the last 2 years. And then some insight questions. What did he do before getting this position? So what did he do? What job did he have? And then is this your dream job, or do you plan on getting another position? So I would like to know, like, is this his like top job, or is he still trying to work his way up? And then how is your personal experience with organization? That's just kind of trying to get insight on the company. And then what are some things that have led you to where you are today in your job? So what are some things that he did that he feels like that got him to where he is? And then what are some things you wish you would have known coming out of college? That's just like a good question to ask, I think. And then what traits would help me be successful in my position? So specifically any kind of things that he felt that got him to where he was, or maybe things that would not help me. And then what are the main problems that come up with a typical workday? Kind of finding out what the job is like, seeing what problems might come up. And then are there any training or qualifications that would be ideal for this job? And that's just a good question to ask, because I mean, if there's like certain marketing things that you need to have that job, like I probably should do that. And then some resources questions. Like what research does he do to stay up in his field? So what does he do to stay like on top of his work and like always at the top? And then are there any recent projects he's worked on? And then do you still work to learn new ways of marketing and advertising? And then also, are there any training seminars he goes to? And then what's a normal day in position look like? So what is he doing his day to day? And then are there any projects that your team is working on now? What does the workload in a week look like? So, and then where do you think the organization will be in 5 years? So kind of like when I'm out of school and like how does he feel it's gonna be? And then my final thoughts would be, I just want to keep learning about my field and like trying to get better every day, like learning more and more about marketing, about sports, about everything. And then also I feel this assignment helped me really think about the different questions that should be like asked in an interview. So I never really thought about what I should be asking. I'm more just listening. But and yeah.
Thank you.
It's my informational interview. So in my search for an interview, I was looking for someone who does accounting work and general business activities. And I also wanted someone in a leadership position because I wanted that viewpoint. And I wanted a smaller business and an industry that's not as important as long the industry is not important as long as it's some kind of accounting in that industry. And getting a response is nice too. My search led to a man called Walter Yonkaitis. He is the CFO at Medtronics, and I found him through my dad. That's where they both work at the same place. The CFO is sort of the pinnacle of a accounting position that's not in an accounting related business. So I feel like he was a great choice. He likes golf and football. And research for Medtronics, as it was founded in 1984, and it create battery testers and vehicle batteries. It extends into the electric vehicle market. That's a recent development. And they sell truck and automotive to manufacturers and servicers. That's my pitch, full of information asking him the interview. And then for the trend questions, the bigger picture ones, I see Medtronics has been around since 1984. How long have you been working there? How long have you been working in the industry? And then how is the current economy and the war impacting Medtronics, the transport industry in general? And insight questions, just more personal ones. How did you get into the field of accounting? What made you choose Medtronics? What company would you work for if you could work for any company? And what position did you start as at Medtronics? And for advice, I had, do you recommend that I seek out a CPA if I want a position like yours someday? And did you get an MBA after college? If so, how long did you wait after graduating? Do you have any advice for my job search after I graduate? And for resources, or research, not research. Do you attend events related to the industry to keep up to date? What other kind of jobs would someone in your position do? What trait of yours would you say you apply the most in your work? And then for assignment, what's your daily duties? What's the favorite assignment you've ever worked on and why? What was your least favorite assignment and why? And then what was the most difficult project you've ever had? That's all.
Thank you.
I'm trying to look for mine. I know I submitted on Blackboard.
Okay, then I can do it. Was he last week? So, yeah. It's coming up. Yeah, you can start.
So for my informative interview, the guidelines in my search for looking for an interviewee, I wanted to look for someone in print or broadcast media, and then someone who had years of experience, whether that be at least a few years out of school or at least maybe a couple decades, and then someone who hopefully has risen through the ranks. It is started at an entry level position, has worked their way up to this, just so I could see, just so I could see how they've been able to, kind of rise to the ranks in the industry here. So my search led to Dennis Anderson. He is the current Vice President of News and Content Development at Shaw Media. He has 30 years of experience as an editor at 5 different newspapers, and he has many years of experience working at local newspapers, something that I wish to do. I actually met him at a college press conference a couple weeks ago, and then he gave me his business card. So just kind of the couple minutes that I talked to him, he's kind of the first person that came to mind. And then, once I knew that I wanted to have him, interview him, I looked at his LinkedIn profile. I was able to see his background, his years of experience. And then I also saw the press release on the Shaw Media website that is about his new position as VP of News and Content when he got the promotion back in 2020. And then I also looked at Shaw Media's website just so I could see their different outlets, how their different newspapers, what type of content they have. So then here's my email pitch to Dennis Anderson. And then, so when it came to asking about trends, I mostly focused on asking questions about the company itself. So, for example, how Shaw Media has adapted to the digital era, how much autonomy does each newspaper have, since Shaw Media in recent years has acquired many smaller newspapers around the Midwest area. And then which local communities and news stories do newspapers tend to focus on? And then in what ways does Dennis Anderson want Shaw Media to improve within the next couple of years? And then when it came to insights, just mostly focused on his personal experiences. So what was his first job when he first graduated out of college? What factors went into his decision into moving across those 5 different newspapers? What is he focused on as VP of News and Content? And then what traits does he believe that his others saw in him when he was promoted through ranks as an editor, as a managing editor, and then as now as VP for a newspaper publisher? And then just overall advice on mostly just advice on what a student journalist can do to prepare themselves in a career in print media. And then what are some other things to include in a resume? And then also, besides a resume, what do newspaper companies look at when they're considering hiring a new reporter or editor? And then for resources, just to learn more about the day-to-day operations, either as a reporter, editor, or an employee at Shaw Media. So for resources, his personal, so what he uses to make sure that he stays updated in the industry. So who does he turn to in the newspaper industry? How often does he refresh himself with AP style, since it tends to be updated every so couple of years? And then what resources does he recommend for anyone who wants to improve as a copy editor? I do feel that copy editing is a useful tool for anyone in the newspaper industry. And then again, the assignments day-to-day work routine of a reporter. Does social media look for more specialized reporters or reporters that can cover a variety of stories? And then how much flexibility does the company provide in pitching their own stories? So final thoughts, I'm excited to learn about the local news industry. I'm hopeful that I will be able to learn about post college job opportunities, and I hope to gain advice to improve my professional skills.
Oh, okay. You just send it. Yeah. Oh. Sorry, that was a timer, okay? The timer. Cecilia, here we go. Download. This is gonna be a really
So for my interview, I decided to do Caitlin Ballard. She's currently the sustainability coordinator at North Central. And I kind of had connections to her through my major in environment sustainability. I listened to a couple of her talks. I talked with her on a couple occasions just about like different things that she does in her job. And her job is very similar to the ones that I am looking for and the ones that I have researched. And then just some of the trend questions that I was going to ask her is, how have you seen the North Central College sustainability develop throughout the years? Does she want to expand the sustainability efforts or the sustainability department at North Central? And then what like new sustainable infrastructure do you think that the school would benefit off of? And then did COVID affect anything for sustainability events that were held on campus with like either Green Scene or other outreach programs? And then for insights, what made you choose to work with the college instead of like a business or a restaurant? Because I've been looking into different businesses or like different restaurants, but I would also like to do a college. Have you always wanted to work as a sustainability coordinator, or was there like something else that could have been an option for you? And then what type of experience did she complete that like led to the position she has now, like different internships or projects? Advice, are there any certifications needed for jobs like extra? What skills should I be focusing on when applying for jobs like yours? And then how did you find the job at NCC? I know Caitlin Ballard was a student before this, so she probably had some connections to the school. And then just some assignment questions, what skills are useful for the tasks that she does daily? Are there any events at the school that are specifically sustainability based that she conducts? And then what is a typical workload on a daily basis for her?
Please say it.
I don't know how to get the presentation up there.
Sorry?
I don't know how to get my presentation.
Oh, okay. Can you get it to me right now?
You want to?
Yeah. Brandon, are you ready?
Yeah.
Go on there. Just email it to me. I will pull it up after that.
How do I get back to the?
You did, I just put it. That's
Brandon, this is my formative interview presentation for the DEA. Some interview guidelines. I look for experience of years, so how many years they've been in the field, variety of titles, so holding different roles within the company, outside experience, not just experience in one company, the degree background, how much money they make, attitude towards job, their honesty with me, and their professionalism. So I interviewed, or I came to to find Reggie Hill, the DEA agent. He's a current DEA agent with experience overseas in CONUS, which is continental United States. I worked alongside with him and was had a close connection with him while stationed overseas at US Embassy Quito, Ecuador. Personal connection with numerous roles held. He had a vast variety of job titles. He's been in different locations, had different assignments, and he's honest and hardworking from what I've got from him. My research method, again, worked alongside with him and other DEA agents overseas. I did a job dossier for my senior capstone class, which entailed DEA, made phone calls with him and in-person conversations, numerous talks with other DEA agents about the organization and their own experiences. I also visited their website, read about the history, mission, and different job descriptions because there's a variety of different jobs that they have available that you can sign up for. The pitch. Read it right here, just reaching out because I work alongside with you in Ecuador Embassy and I'm interested in pursuing a career in your field. I was hoping I could borrow a few minutes of your time to ask you a few questions about your company and what exactly the job entails. I know you're a busy individual, so if you're willing to speak, let me know what works best for you. We can talk via phone, video, or in person. Thanks for your time and look forward to hearing back from you. Respectfully sent. Trends. Some of the things I would look into for trends for DEA is the presence regarding CONUS operations. So how much work do they actually do in the continental United States, as drugs are more of a problem overseas? Does DEA allow for relocation and selection of duty stations? It's important for finding out where I want to live or potentially spend years of my life. Is DEA respected overseas by other law enforcement agencies? So do they recognize us as a important law enforcement agency? And do we get the respect overseas? And then is DEA more paperwork or in-field work? I do not want to sit behind a desk and do paperwork all the time. I'd rather be out doing stuff. So that's important. trend for me. Insights. What type of assignments have you preferred to take? So what type of jobs are your favorite? Where's your favorite place to work in the US or outside of the US? Big question for me, how have you handled family life while working with agency? I plan to have family in the future. And then how much of a role does your degree play in getting to or attain different roles in different jobs? So does a certain degree matter more than others, or does it even matter at all? Advice. Some questions I would ask. What type of training exercises should I conduct for fitness tests? They all require different, all federal agencies require a fitness test. And just kind of figuring out what to focus on specifically for that. Is there any certifications I need to obtain before joining? Things I should have in my pocket to be ready to go when the time comes? What should be included in the resume? They have different, they basically run it through a computer and they look for keywords throughout the whole thing. So knowing those keywords and kind of skip that whole process to get my resume even looked at is important. And then how should I manage traveling, housing, situation, and relocation? Obviously, I don't want to buy a house if I'm going to be moving every 3 years, but I also don't want to rent the whole time. So just figuring out what the best way to go for that resource. What certifications do I have to stay up to date on, CPR, things of that nature. How should you obtain new information of the country when traveling a place overseas? We get briefs about that, but I was wondering if there's any outside resources that he uses to kind of do some research on countries he may go to. What is the best way to stay up to date on new guidelines and procedures for the agency? So any new rules, any new regulations that they have to follow, or specific regulations for certain countries? And then what are some of the best ways for career advancements or to keep yourself competitive for promotion? Obviously, you want to stay at the top of your game and make sure you're able to get that pay increase. Assignments, how likely is it to have undercover work? How hard is it to get overseas assignments and how long do they last? What are the normal work hours on the weekdays and weekends? And what are some required tasks, monthly, daily, yearly by the agents? Final thoughts, DA is still my dream job, and just having that connection with him will be very helpful in the future.
He sent it, you sent it.
All right, so some search I had for my interview, I wanted someone who had a general business background. I thought that was important for me because I want to be in business. Someone who knows how to manage and lead people, and someone who's in sales, that side of business. My interviewee is Jim Johnson. He works for CNA Insurance and is in IT management. He's a good candidate because he's in management and knows how to lead people within the organization. He's just a family friend, so that's how I found him. CNA Insurance is an insurance company that sells commercial property and casualty insurance to people and companies. CNA was founded in 1897 in Detroit, Michigan. It's just my pitch.
Both we have pitch.
What'd you say?
Both we have pitch.
Oh. Just I'm currently enrolled in North Central College, a sports management and general business major. I'm looking to learn more about the manager side business selling that comes with it. Some trends. How do you think IT management can improve overall? What made you decide to be in service management, and in what direction is the company currently heading? Some insights. How do you get into this company? What have you learned from working at the company? And what do you enjoy most about IT? Some advice. How do you manage people? What's the hardest thing about sales in the sales world? And what advice do you give someone first coming into this business? And the assignment, what skills are useful that you use on a daily basis, and how many hours do you work in a week?
I think I would do. Do you have something for me? It's okay. All right, class. Okay, so with this, we finish our informative interview sessions. Okay, all right. Now moving on to Blackboard and talking to you about the first thing that I intended to do is self-appraisal. Okay, and here we go. Give me a second here. I'm just going to get into your Blackboard. And what did I lose it? Okay. So here we go, PowerPoint. And so the first thing I will talk to you about, because I think it's a good continuation, because you guys just finished your presentation for your informative interview. As I mentioned to you, I'm just going over the slide here. One second here, I think yes, here we go. So this was already introduced, explained to you. I had a YouTube link as well, which kind of explains this assignment to you. You guys did it, and it's done now. But the second component, which I am going to talk about, is your appraisal, self-appraisal. Okay, if you go into your syllabus, you will see that there were some sections that we have already. And let me go to your syllabus just to show you where we are. Open. This is where we are with the project here. Professional interview, prep and interview. You guys have already done that. That was 7 points. You've already done that with your presentation and preparation and interview questions. Now you actually want to do the interview, and I've given you some length of time. We had about, we started this project about a week back, so you have about 5 weeks to finish the interview, right? And based on the interview that happens between both of you, I would like you to do a self-appraisal. I would like you to do a self-appraisal, okay? So, and that is going to be the self-appraisal of the interview, which is a recap of the interview and how the interview went and what were the questions. You already know the questions, but how was the answer? Did it go well? What could have been better? All of that is going to be included in your self-appraisal, which is going to be the last 2 points, okay? So let me go to it right now. When is it due? I think I have 2 different due dates. I just realized that. I think I told you on May 5th, Thursday, and I'm going to honor that day. I think in my presentation here, I think I put it like May 4th. So if you turn it in by May 5th, you're fine. All right, let me go to your PowerPoint here. And self-appraisal. This is where you've got all the information about what you need to do for the self-appraisal after you finish your interview. So here we go. I created this one for you here. So submit by this is, I'm going to change this. This is not May 4th. But you get 1 day, so this is going to be set May 5th. All right. All right, here. May 5th, Thursday. I'll make sure that changes. All right. So what you need to do here, class, is you have to provide a self-analysis about the interview. So just about 500 words, not a whole lot. So here, again, this is going to be the last component of your informative interview. The interview happens, you ask questions. Now you have to self-reflect and say that, okay, this was your plan. You know that these were your questions. You're all charged up. You went with your TRM method and the trends, insights, advice, resources, assignment. You did all of that. And did you think it worked out well? What worked out well? Let us know. Let me know. What would it be? What would it be like if you had the opportunity to make a few changes now based on the interview that happened? What would be some of the changes that you would make? Maybe focus on a few questions here. Maybe focus on the insight part, or maybe focus on the advice part. Which one would you have maybe based on what you experienced? Which one would you revise and edit? So I want to know how the interview went. What worked out well? Mention what worked out well for me. Give me an example. This is what this was the question. He or she gave me a lot of advice on this aspect. What would have been better? Some things did not get better. Do you think your questioning could have been a little different? Do you think you would have, you needed to put in some more context in your question? Could the questioning be changed the next time you try to establish a relationship or you try to do an interview? So make sure everything that you state is kind of, give me examples. Just don't say that this did not work out well or this worked out well. Tell us why it worked out well. Then, as I mentioned to you, if you were given the chance to edit some of the questions, it's already done. You know the question. Now, if you have to make some changes, what changes would you think? Here, the most important question is: do you think at the end of the interview, was the person who you interviewed is able to be your advocate? And that's going to be a successful interview. If you have kind of made this person an advocate for you in your team, think about this as you're creating a team of people who's going to be your cheerleaders if you are going to look for a job. Do you think this person, the interview process, were you able to establish a relationship with this person and make him or her an advocate for you? Do you think you were able to establish that bond in the interview? So you got to ask yourself, yes or no. Now, the question doesn't have to be yes, I was able to. Okay, then tell us, how did you do that? Why do you get cues that that person is going to be your advocate? If not, let's say you were not able to establish that. That's fine. Okay, it's always we're always practicing and we're trying to make our game better and better. If you were not, what would you have done now that you've already got the chance to do the interview? What would you have done differently to create that bond? Now, more importantly, the last question is, how do you want to sustain this relationship? You've already worked hard, you've done your research, you've got those questions, you've scheduled an interview, spent that time, that person has spent time with you. Now, how do you make sure that you're going to sustain that relationship? What are you going to do to keep in touch with this person? Be specific, okay? How are you going to organize yourself in terms of your calendar, in terms of what are the things you will do to keep the relationship alive? Okay, so these are going to be your self-appraisal questions that you need to respond to. Okay, and that's going to be the last part of the cycle. So make sure this is due by May 5th. Okay, so it's exactly days, April 5th, exactly a month from that. So I'm going to ask you not stress even further as well. You want to figure out when you're going to do the interview with this person. Get it done, get it out of the way, and get this out of the way. Because by the time panels come, you have lots of other classes, you'll be overloaded, lots of assignments and everything. So this is something that you can do with this. You have a crazy amount of time to do this. Okay. So get this done. It's not going to be a big. I think I should be able to knock it out in an hour or so. Okay. So that's something. This is already there on Blackboard. So make sure you do this. Okay. Now moving on to the next part of our class, which is the last section. Here we go. just to show you where we are. We have already done so many things: research statements, resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, elevator pitch, professional interview, now right now the informative interview. And that was the last one that we worked on. And now we are prepping towards this whole week, this whole next few sessions, we will be prepping towards your digital interview, okay? So you can see April 5th, April 14th, and April 26th. That these are the 3 weeks that we're just going to focus on digital interview. So I'm going to cover a lot of concepts in class. And as I told you, I've already put it, the first part of the interview is already on Blackboard. And I will layer it up even more. Today, I'll try to cover as much as possible. And then I'll try to layer it more in my recorded lecture. Okay. So going to PowerPoint, here, this is what you need to do. You need to click this. I have all the questions here for you. So digital interview pre-recorded. All right. So I have a list of questions and you will prepare this. All right. You already have identified maybe 3 positions, 3 dream jobs. You've already done that. Nothing new. You've already identified 3 positions that you like to apply. Pick and tell me 0 to 1 particular job. All right. And I think what I'm going to do is, in our next class, I just want you to give me a link to that job description because I have to prepare questions. All right, so I will have to prepare questions in regards to the job position that you are going to apply. This question is specifically going to be needed towards your position that you apply. I'm going to ask you questions that will help you prepare for the job interview. Okay. So the first thing, as I mentioned to you, the digital interview will have 2 components to it. The first component will be a pre-recorded session. Okay. So here this is 5 points. Okay. The first, so it will have 5 points when you with your pre-recorded session, and you're going to post your recorded session on Blackboard. I'll let you know where questions. Okay. So first thing, before I even start this, I'm going to talk about a few basic things that you need to do. You're going to record yourself. All right. So I would expect that you have a professional. You don't have a lot of very high-fi like camera, just a basic camera with basic audio. But the background that you select, the distance from the camera, what you wear, everything will make a difference. So you are doing this just like if you would apply to a position, in any of these big companies, they have so many applicants that you have to. Sometimes what these companies do is a great way to screen candidates. Is so many applications come in that, and it's not possible for them to, get everybody into the company. So what they are doing this is cost saving, with very cost saving device, and also being able to apply, get candidates from different parts of the country as well. We don't have to spend the money to fly them there anymore, so it's virtually done. So these are most companies are now having this pre-screening interviews where it's like pre-recorded. So they give you those questions. Perhaps, I don't know if every company has its own policy, but maybe 2 or 3 days before the interview happens, you get a set of questions that you need to prepare for. Okay, sometimes you don't even know the question. Sometimes you know. Let's say you guys here in this classroom situation, you get to know the questions, okay? And you need to prepare for that. There's a recorded time. They probably have their own, sometimes they do it in Bluejeans, they do it in WebEx, they do it on Zoom. They choose the kind of mode that they want to use for you to record. Okay, you guys can for you, I just need to have a nicely professionally done video recording. Okay, Zoom recording, YouTube, Flipgrid, whatever works for you. As long as I don't have any specification that you need to use this or that. The only thing that I'm going to ask you to do is make sure that the place is lighted well. Okay? You do it in the evening, doesn't matter. You do it in the morning, doesn't matter. But your face has to have that lighting. Okay? Please don't look at the camera like this or like this. We don't want to see any part that you don't want to see. All right. So please have a straight, direct focus on the camera. The best rule of thumb is if you look at the TV screen, it should be like a rule of third. So it should be 1, 2, and 3. So you should be able to position yourself so that if you're using your hand gestures and movement, that is captured on camera. So if you're too far away, that makes it very distant. If you're too close, that's not going to work. So you got to be in a position where it's like you see a whole screen. It should be divided into 1, 2, and 3/3. Okay, and your eye should be fitting in the second slot. So that should be the position. Audio clear, hair perfect, and just comb your hair so it doesn't have any flyaways or anything. And business casual. Business casual. You know, you don't have to wear a suit, but just wear something kind of semi-formal, nice sweater, or you know, with something with a little jacket just makes it professional. It depends upon the culture of the organization that you're working for. I try to understand there what the culture is, and then maybe wear something that's first of all very comfortable with you and professional. Okay. And look at the company culture. I know that IBM typically used to have during maybe 10 or 15 years, they had this collar, and you had to wear a full sleeve shirt and all of that. See, look at the company culture and see what goes there. And make sure that your lighting is good. If you're using a ring light, which I use, you don't have to use it. I do it because that's my profession. I have to record a few things. You don't have to use a ring light, but make sure that it is, you know, the light is on. If you're using backgrounds, I don't know how you feel about using Zoom backgrounds. I just don't. That's a personal preference. I don't like it because I just find that slightly artificial. So I usually, because of my profession, I usually have my little library at the back. Have some books, and I'm not that good. But if I do a presentation or interview, then I'll probably do a better job at organizing everything. But if you want to, whatever, the background should be clear. It should not be cluttered, because through visual messaging, you are actually making your interviewers see things that if you don't want them to see that, you don't want to show it. So have a clean, uncluttered flow. Okay. So I can't emphasize this. So make sure when you're recording, you get all of this done. Okay, nicely done. So that's going to be one of the prerequisites that I'm going to be looking at when I'll be grading your pre-recorded virtual session. Okay. So now the questions, okay, that you will have to prepare. Again, you're preparing these questions in response to your dream job that you have applied for, which you will be sending me a link. I don't know whether you have to change it within the first, from the start of the class to now. If you change it, that's fine. You have different jobs, that's fine. I just send you the links. I can research on the job and I can create questions for you when we are going to do a face-to-face interview. All right. So for the pre-recorded session, these are some of the questions that I want you to focus on. Here we go. So first of all, let me just show. This whole time for this recording, I think I'm giving it 30 minutes, which is typically what it is. Okay, it's usually between 50. I've done my review and research. It's typically all the screen ones are between 15 to 30 minutes. 15 is really on the short side or really low side of things with very minimal questions. 30 is that I think is a good amount of time to do a pre-screening interview. So that's why I've said that your recording time should be 30 minutes, and these are some of the questions that you need to work on. So you can see that I have divided it into different previous work experience. So tell us about how does your work experience skill help you to think about the position that you're applying for, and then talk about how does your previous work experience help you in regards to this position. Okay. Any questions with this one? Okay. So some personal development questions. You've got to work on finding a good answer to this. What goals do you have in regards to your personal development? We're looking at the R&D, the research and development. What are you doing apart from working or taking classes? What are you doing which kind of helps you reach your personal development goals? Okay, so where you want to reach, where you want to see reach in terms of your career. What are you doing to reach those goals? How does this position More importantly, now look at the position and link it. Tell me, how does this position help you reach your personal goal? Okay, so to do some research and find out a good answer to this one. Okay. I will give you a much, I'm just going to go through all the slides so that we start working on this, and then I'll give you more examples. So work style interview questions. Are you a team person? Do you like to work with a team, or do you like to work by yourself? Okay. What would be a good answer? Both or one. If that's, if you want to say that I like to work in teams, if that's your strength finder, you know that you really flourish and you can do very well with teams, then go ahead and say that. Provide examples. Always have a success story, because the best thing that happened. All this, we just have to have that ready. Okay. One project that you worked and where you achieved success. Have that ready going for you before you start interview. What was that one project that you did, or research, or projects, or teamwork that you did where you got success? So have that. What were your responsibilities? Give us a summary. Give us an example of a time where you worked in a team, and what were your responsibilities, and how well did it work for you? Okay. Deadline driven questions, very important. This is another one that keeps coming. How do you manage stress? How do you manage multiple deadlines? When did you mess up? If you did mess up sometime, and you can have your mess up story also ready, correct? A time where you messed up, and tell us why you messed up and what did you do. Are you able to figure out why people mess up, and what will you do to change that? Okay, what was your learning through that messing up experience? So have that story as well. Pitch it in a way so that it makes us look human and makes us understand the process. The fact that you messed up, you probably forgot something. Attention to detail, and how you're going to make up for it. What are the things that you're doing so that this doesn't happen? Okay, what caused the problems? Okay. Interview questions about responsibilities. Now you have to say, what roles do you have to fulfill? So now, this could be for some of us, maybe if we are, in an entry level position, we probably do not have the answer to this first question here as of now. But you can think about your experience, any summer internship that you've done, or any campus positions that you've had, or what response. And if you do not have the experience, you can say that I'm starting off. That's fine. What responsibilities do you have to hold with that company? Good question. Look at the position, look at the company, think about actually really this is going to be very genuine, and this responsibility is what do you want to really do with this company? What responsibilities would you like to fulfill? Because read the job description very well for this one. I have been asked this question a number of times. Do you have experience working with more than one? How do you do multitasking, multiple projects? How do you assign yourself? How do you prioritize? How do you prioritize tasks? What kind of tools? Now, this needs to be specific, guys. Please prepare this one. Prepare this one very well. There are ways to prioritize tasks. What kind of tools do you use to prioritize? Okay, calendar system, reminder system, just time map. How do you do better time management? All of this, please be do the research and tell us. Okay. Now, why our company? Why do you want to work here? What about this position? Why are you interested in this position? All right. What is it about this company that attracts you, and what about this position that you're interested in? Why this position? And finally, your question. I think this last question is salary range you're targeting for this position, and certain benefits that are important to you. These are pretty standard canned questions. I think this will be a good starting point for you to really prepare for these questions hard. And the only thing that I can say, these are questions, the only thing that I can say a good response to the questions is always by providing the context. Okay, and I did not, because of the lack of time, I think they did mention to you in the interview questions is please layer your questions with context, okay? So give us an example of a context. And as I remember when we did our elevator pitch, I told you all that the best elevator pitch makes us, look at the person as a human being, okay? It's the grandfather story. It's about the truck. And I would be going on the farms with my grandfather on his truck. Those are things that are relatable. It's an intrinsic human emotion that anybody can connect with. Make your response here as much as possible as human as possible. Okay? And how do you do that? You can make it human by giving us more examples, by providing more context to it, by warming it up. So make sure, and whatever responses, provide your examples, provide a context. Okay, so that's one of the things that I will. That's one of the things that I'm definitely going to stress. Okay, so this is what you need to do. I will be giving you some more tips. These are just the starting points so that you can start your assignment as soon as possible. And on Thursday, I will be giving you some more tips on, just what goes on from the interviewer's point in their mind. What is it that they want to see? That will kind of help you to understand, okay, where do I focus? How do I do some research on these questions? I'm going to go according. I've been actually looking up at different recruiters and how their mind works, and how, just looking at some of the best practices to see how their mind works and how they're screening individuals, and what is it that they want from individuals or from interviewees. So that will be helpful. So I will be talking about that. But I do want you to start working on these questions as soon as possible, because you need to submit this to me by Sunday and create it here. 1 second. What did I do now? Okay. All right. So this needs to be turned into me by April 10th, midnight. Okay. So this is the first part. I need you to work on this one, and you need to turn it into me by April 10th, midnight. Again, I have given you these questions. You've got 30 minutes to respond. So you can divide your time, all right? You're the best judge, how you want to use your time, what are the questions you want to respond to. Maybe there are some questions which requires more time, that's fine, that's your decision. Okay? As long as you finish it within 30 minutes, I'm fine. As long as you're able to record it nicely, professionally, go through all these questions, and post it by midnight, I'm okay with that one. Okay. So here I will create it right now in front of you. So this is a home assignment. One second here. I just changed the 1 second here. Oh, where did it? 5 points. Just the URL, once you post it there, I should be able to get it, okay? Yeah,
So we're just asking ourselves the questions and answering it.
you're not asking, you're going to respond to the questions. Just like a pre-recorded questions, you just look at the questions and then respond to the questions.
Okay, with ourselves, right?
You're talking to yourself, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So have you all seen how, has anybody been exposed to, has anybody done pre-recorded interviews so far? You've done that, I've done it too. Anybody else know? Come on. Is he okay? Jenny, you done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done them.
You done that? Okay. All right. How long was it?
I mean, it depends. Some, I had one where they gave you like a time limit.
Yeah.
Based how many questions there were total. So they were like, in the next 20 minutes, please answer these
Right.
5 questions.
Right. Right.
And there were others that there wasn't like a whole overarching time limit. It was just like each question you'll be able to answer for a minute. And then
Right.
like after a minute, the video will cut off, but
Yes.
you'll have an opportunity to re-record it if you needed to. So, I mean, it varies, but
Yeah. I've had, yeah, so it was like, I didn't like the ones that were timed, like this is the timer constantly, just made me feel very nervous. I didn't like it. So you don't have that here. Try to, engage with the questions. If you think that class is also something that I want to tell you, if you think you're not being able to respond to all the questions, that this is more like a guidance so that you learn to it. If you think that, you use those 30 minutes nicely, maybe pick some of the best questions that you like and respond to it. I have given you a whole lot of questions. If you feel that that's going to be overwhelming and we're not questions 30 minutes, that's fine. Just do a good job with those 30 minutes. Okay, choose the best question that you love and do those nicely. Use those 30 minutes to record yourself. Okay, be very careful about how you're recording yourself. You give with pictures, all of that. That's so once you do this, the goal is that you will now get a jump start on your interview. Okay, you probably don't realize that you will be actually preparing so hard for these questions that you will now be preparing for the main interview that will come up and I will ask you questions. So what I will do on my end, once you give me the job description, I probably am not an expert in your area. I probably don't have a lot of information on taxes or computers or software programming. But I'll try to do my best by looking at some behavioral questions, some questions that would be more general. And maybe I will try to pull in somebody who has content knowledge and then help me to ask me some content knowledge questions. I want to do that. Let's see how whether I'm successful or not. So by the time you go for your part 2, you've already done a lot of prep. You should be prepared. But then the only thing is that you will do it with me when I will ask you questions and I will not only ask you questions, we will go back and forth, all right, just like face-to-face. So by that time you should be done with your part 2, which will be coming up. So right now let's focus on part 1. There will be another, we'll be sending you another video with some more details, some more pointers from me in regards to how to prepare for your digital interview part 1. Any questions, class, at this point? Open to all questions. If you don't have questions, then that's No questions for me? How do you feel? What kind of place are you with your dream job and preparing for this one? You think you have enough information to pursue these questions? Okay. What is it? Tell me something really helpful. What is it that you need from me in terms of kind of when I prepare more and more for you and guide you with this? What is it that you want to do? Anything in particular that you want to do more for me? Okay. All right, so I will post, I will send you a video for this one, and I will finish grading all your informative speech. Now that it's done, I'll start grading it, and the grade should be posted by this week. And with this, the self-appraisal, I'll put it in here right now, so that here we go. I actually had some. I wanted to show you all a sample of informative interview, but I think the class is going to end in 10 minutes. I've run out of time, so I will try to do that. It was just to give you an idea. It's a nice interview between the CEO of Jeff Weiner. Jeff is he's the CEO of LinkedIn, and an interview between him and Oprah. And it was a really nice interview. And if you really want to know about how interviewing is done, he interviewed her in regards to how she actually talks about manifestation and her whole journey into the career. So really talked about how she started her vision, how did she do it, what were the opportunities that she got in this industry. So all about her track to be the media mogul that she is. So it was a very nice 40-minute interview. And I wanted to show, but today, we'll be running out of time. And I wanted you all to hear that interview and kind of tell me, what is that? How are the questions? Is there something that you learned to the interview? What kind of questions that go on between the interview and the interview? So, okay. So what I will do, class, it's about 11, and I'll let you guys go today a little early. And then I will be posting another session on more about the digital interview. And please remember, your digital interview is due. Part 1 is due on April 10th by midnight. Yes, we're going to really work hard and get that going. Be sure the recording is done nicely. Okay, lights, hair all done. Nice business casual clothes. Nicely done. Nicely done.